the First Cold War had its iconic tanks in the East, such as the T-55 and T-72. Today, at the dawn of the Second Cold War, with its innovative design, the T-14 Armata has become the first iconic weapon of this new era. Although it has revived the new design works on the other side, the Western world, it has some serious handicaps. As the weapon detective, we investigated T-14 Armata and why the program has doubts about with told and untold. The roots of Armata can be traced back to early 1990s, the time of the Soviet Union dissolved. At the last decade of the First Cold War, the Western armies had started to be equipped with new highly advanced main battle tanks such as Leopard 2 and M1 Abrams. The Soviet tanks lagged behind their counterparts in terms of firepower and survivability. The general armored warfare approach of the USSR was to develop a rapidly produced, easily maintained, and expendable tank. This approach based on the Second World War experience. Design criteria of T-34, regarded by many experts as the most successful tank of the Second World War, were replicated in the successor T-series tanks. After creation of superior new generation Western main battle tanks, the Red Army started to consider new approaches. Developing new vehicle which is equal with Leopard 2 and M1 was not enough for Soviet engineers, it was ought to be more. During the 80s, they examined new innovative technologies and concepts. But the USSR lost the First Cold War and collapsed. For the new state, Russian Federation, there were no money and military necessity to continue the work. So a new tank, called as T-95, could not go beyond being a technology demonstrator. This prototype vehicle was one important difference from conventionally designed tanks. The turret was unmanned and remotely controlled. By this way, the crew and ammunition were separated. T-95 was also supported with advanced electronics similar to those used by the West. This was not something highly preferred by the Red Army. According to the Soviet military planners, it was maintained that, in a nuclear war, because of the EMD effect, electronics would shortly become unavailable anyway. Or in large-scale conventional war without nuclear strike, millions of fighting soldiers would use radios and radars, so the frequency interference would disable any healthy result in terms of communication and detection. Please remember that it was expected that both sides would destroy the other's satellite network within a week. So, until T-95 Eastern military doctrine had not believed in network-centric warfare, it would be just a fantasy in the Third World War. Like T-95, Armata relies on the unmanned turret, fire control system supported by advanced electronics, electro-optics and situational awareness systems. The three-man crew consisting of driver, gunner and commander is seated side by side in a special armored capsule in front, separated by an armored bulkhead from the turret. Furthermore, Armata has network-centric warfare capability. This modular tank can be fitted with a number of different weapons depending on the mission. The weapon station on a turret 12.7mm machine gun can be replaced with 30mm cannon. Armata can also be fitted with air defense missiles on demand. The Russians are also considering that 125mm main of Armata could be replaced in the future with a new 152mm one easily, thanks to its modular design. The tank has new steel armor and metal ceramic plates. The survivability is enhanced with new generation explosive reactive armor and an advanced active defense system. Armata has 48 tons combat weight, 8.7 meters hull length, 10.8 meters total length, 3.3 meters height. Its 1500 horsepower diesel engine provides 75 kilometers per hour on road. The tank can reach 500 kilometers distance without refueling. On paper, it is a good and superior tank. But there are some serious handicaps for Armata. So, it seems Russia lost its enthusiasm to equip its armored units with the new vehicle in a short time. The program has continuously delayed or suspended. Publicly expressed that the reason of the setback is mainly economical. Additionally, the rival countries do not have any main battle tanks which current modernized T-72, T-80 and T-90 could not deal with. So, having this kind of advanced tank like Armata is not a necessity today. But there are also some other problems unmentioned openly. First of all, the question of how rapidly the Russian army can adapt to these radical approaches in tank concept remains an enigma. New design criteria cause changing old doctrine. This change can last as long as the replacement of a whole generation of officers. As expressed at the beginning of the program, replacing approximately 13,000 tanks in its inventory with 2,300 Armata also signifies a drastic change in the structure of the Russian army itself. It does not change only the structure of armored units. In a modern army, the success depends on compatibility of all units. So, lots of units, such as motorized infantry, artillery, military engineer, even air support have to reorganize and re-equip to achieve efficient use of Armata. Additionally, all operation plans to date, the education system, mobilization documents and logistic structure have to undergo a revision. As you see, this is not an easy or easily acceptable process. Even this challenge accepted, changing thousands of vehicles designed according to former doctrines, requires some time. This means that Armata-equipped armored divisions or brigades of Russia may not be reach full operation capability in a foreseeing time. There are also other question marks in terms of design. The structure of crew cabin has extremely risky design. Let us explain how this creates a problem in a simple yet funny example. Imagine yourself inside a giant church bell. Think about what might happen to you when somebody strikes the bell. Inside of a tank is very similar with this bell. When a tank is hit by an armor-piercing or even a high-explosive round, although the armor remains intact, the crew lives the experience with multiple time with the person who inside the church bell. Because of noise, harsh vibration, heat, and blast effect, driver, gunner and commander might faint or be dazed at the same time. In conventional tank design, the driver separated with the commander and the gunner who located in the turret. So, while driver faints or be dazed, turret crew could be still operational or at least they could escape. If the round would hit the turret, driver could be safe. Of course, the electronic and electro-optic systems enhanced combat vehicles' combat capabilities dramatically. The achievement of technology is so impressive. Based on these facts, many experts began to foresee that there would be no place for men in the battlefield. Actually, these opinions were not raised for the first time. However, no new technology has not able to completely replace good old man on the battlefield. Even unmanned aircrafts. Don't believe the marketing efforts. Today, the air forces of the world still use manned reconnaissance aircrafts besides the unmanned ones. They supplement each other, not replace. This fact is also valid in modern tank warfare. In 1973 at the Golan Heights, Israel Defense Force stopped 1,400 Syrian tanks with its only 170 tanks. Although Syrian T-62s were superior to Israeli Centurion in terms of night vision and firing systems, the real heroes of this victory were surely the tank commanders. In order to detect, identify and acquire the target, tank commanders observed the battlefield with binoculars while their hatch opened. Naturally, tank commanders suffered the most casualties. In order to prevent these casualties, after 1973 Yom Kippur War, Western countries accelerate to invest electro-optics technologies for tanks. However, today's war analyses show that electro-optics proved to be less successful than observation with Mark I eyeball. Additionally, main guns blast and recoil effects decreases bit by bit the efficiency of electro-optics after each fire. Even vibration of the track affects negatively life and calibration in total reliability of electro-optics. Under these circumstances, open hatch of tank commander is still vital for tank warfare. The best observation can conduct from the highest point. Despite of turret, looking over from the hull is simply ineffective. In this case, it is impossible to repeat a victory as witnessed at the Golan Heights. In that war, Avdiivka Yanush Bengal, then commanding Israel's 7th Armored Brigade, would argue later in a military conference organized in 2007 that it was in fact the human factor that mattered the most at war, and that the technological revolution did not bring Israel to a better point. Of course, we tried to explain why the Armata program has doubts about so far. Well, what are the positive aspects of the tank for Russia, in addition to its obvious technological superiority? First of all, after the dissolution of the USSR, weapon of Russian military industry has been accepted second-rate products in comparison with Western systems, especially in terms of technological level. Even like many others, we think this is an unfair perspective. By the Armata, Russia is becoming a country who has technologically superior hardware than NATO's, at least one term. It is important politically. This achievement is one step to give Russian people confidence about being citizen of superpower again. The Armata is also a message for the countries. The Western world is not only supplier to have best weapons. It tells the Western monopoly on first-rate weapon and political power relied on this started to fade. One small but meaningful step. Thanks for watching our new videos.